stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. John.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Mark.
Here.
Stephanie.
Here.
Dale's here. Guys want to look over the agenda?
I'd like to add tax director onto the agenda.
We'll put that in after the employee manual.
Okay. Okay, is there anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the amended agenda.
Motion by Mark to approve the agenda as amended. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll look over the April 7th meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Just disperse the reading.
We've got the error on page 3. Motion by Units to approve Ackerman Asphalt as our engineering services for project. It's not Ackerman Asphalt.
Oh, what is it?
Recommend engineering.
Engineering, no.
Ackerman Estivald, isn't it? Or
Okay. Yeah. I have an message from Wayne on that. Asphalt.
motion by Scott to approve the minutes as
With the
As corrected.
They were corrected, amended, but taking the asphalt out, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Stephanie. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll look over the vouchers for this month.
So,
What, oh,
go ahead, on page 6, the sheriff's vehicle. What was that? Vehicles, or whatever it was?
That, there's a voucher here for the equipment they put in it. They ordered it.
Oh.
okay.
No.
You know, the vehicle's ordered and it's waiting to come, and then they ordered looks like they ordered the add-ons.
Yep,
And
and that's here now.
they wanted to get paid for it, even though the vehicle isn't here yet,
Of course.
because they have to get paid, they have to pay for it.
Sure.
So
Okay.
What's Code 4 Services, what's that?
that's the company that turns the vehicle into a police
Oh,
vehicle,
that's what it is, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
contractor or whatever.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the expenses.
I got a question on this county agent special funds that are overdrawn.
County agent special fund, you guys don't levy for that. That is monies that come in for weed certification. And so what you're seeing on here, the balances, does not reflect the revenue that we've received. So,
What's the balance of that account?
let me go in there really quick for you.
Are there any limitations on what that special fund can be spent for?
I'm not 100% on that.
So it looks like they bought window clings and belt buckles with it, so.
It has $1,420.48 in there right now.
So why doesn't it keep a running balance? So if we look at special fund, there's two charges. There's $318.68, which gives it a negative $318.68, and then there's another one for $231.75, which then has a negative balance. It raised the balance of the fund.
It is.
Why?
It acts as if the other one before it did not exist. It doesn't keep a running balance. It's saying that if you pay just that one, this is what the balance is going to be. It doesn't give a running total of all of them.
So you're using the program to prepare the bills for the commission to approve.
Mm-hmm.
You're not using the actual.
These
balances.
because these bills have not been paid yet. So this is just saying, if you were to pay this bill, this is what it would be. It's not a running total of all of them. until I actually pay it, then I can tell you that then at the end. Yeah.
So in actuality, that account is over by $560 some rather than
Correct.
318 and 231.
Right.
So why isn't it just in a totally in one fund then?
It is in one fund.
Well, I mean, like,
Because she, as she said,
Yeah.
this is in the Dakota programs, there's a program that allows specifically for presenting bills to the county commission for approval to
okay,
pay.
okay.
So being they aren't approved, you can't have a running balance because these are separate.
Separate
They
bills.
could be taken out separately.
Separately, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's goofy, but
Yeah, it
that's
is.
the way it is.
Okay.
So really, there's, yeah,
But what you're seeing is only on the expense side. That's how much has been paid out of this fund. That's not saying that this fund is
So you say we
negative.
have $1,400,
Yep, yep.
but that's with, so it'll be $1,400 minus this then,
Correct,
right?
correct. Yes.
yeah. I mean, in actuality, there should be another
Column.
column over here that gives you a total.
Okay.
And what do they use, these belt buckles or whatever?
I don't know.
It says cut above buckles, 4-H round robin buckles, and
And
4-H
what is the funding
supporter
come from
window.
I was told that that's, or if I remember correctly, that is from your weed certification.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought it was just an in and out account for that, but then I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't it be used for expenses pertaining to the certification process
Would you like him to come in here?
next time? Let's just deny it now and have them come in here next time. Of course, I suppose they already bought the buckles.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's certainly deny it right now and have them come in and explain it. This same old thing we're back to again. Spending the money and then asking for permission afterwards. That's not the purpose of.
So we have a motion on the table to approve as presented. Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.
I'll make a motion we approve as presented, less the $318.68 and the $231.75 out of the special county agent special fund.
Motion by John to approve the bills as presented with the exception of the county agent special fund vouchers for the amount of $318.68 and $231.75. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Stephanie,
All right.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. Mr. Erickson, you're up.
Well, we're here today, I guess we have a project going on out west of town. We've started, we bought, was it 17 acres of land or 13 acres of land? We have placed an anhydrous tank in there, not as fastly as we hoped it would get ready, but it's work in progress. The next phase that we've been soliciting bids on and starting to nail down is the construction of a 7,400 ton dry fertilizer plant that would be north of the anhydrous tank that you see there. if we move forward, it'll go through construction process this summer, next winter, be operable in the spring of '23 for Springs work, okay? And then the last phase of that, for now anyway, would be to move our seed tanks from behind the elevator that's in town here, construct some concrete out there, and then move them out there so all the stuff is all close to each other. The total plant with land acquisition, all the soft costs, and then if the dry fertilizer plant gets approved by us, will be about a $7 million project. And probably don't matter, we're looking at paying a couple million of that from cash and then financing $5 million of it is the plan. We're here today to ask for some abatement on taxes we put in the application for 10 years. Help us kick it off, and then certainly there'll be taxes collected off that item in years 11 and on going forward. I have no idea what's been predecessor, done previously on projects here. You guys would know more about that. That's kind of I don't know if you guys all know Taylor, who works for us here in Cooperstown. The dry plant, the road's constructed out there, but we're holding up on the dry plant till we see if we get any assistance in the form of abatements, and I would open it up to questions for you guys.
So wonderful that more businesses come into Griggs County. That's a given. But what would motivate the citizens of Griggs County to help finance a project that a lot of them don't participate in? Why would the taxpayers of Griggs County want to pay more taxes in order to offset your tax liability for a business that certainly must make money here in Griggs County, as all businesses should? So you do benefit a certain portion of the residents, but the vast majority of the residents now will have to make up your portion of the tax liability in order to further your business. I don't think that's the purpose of government.
No, it's extremely common. I was a CPA for 50 years, traveling around, and I don't know a project that ever went off in a little town that didn't get some type of help.
I can walk around Cooperstown and name 10 of them. Just because it happened doesn't, again, I don't think Stephanie or Mark or any of their constituents want to have to pay higher taxes in order to subsidize a business that certainly has tax advantages by being a co-op already. And I don't think that's fair to the other businesses in town that are operating without that advantage.
Yeah, I mean, it may be a part of our decision whether to build it or not, I guess. And that's the way it goes. We watched the Cass County Commissioners give the goddamn Japanese a $27 million tax abatement, 100% for 15 years. And I could have cried as we walked out of the room.
Well, I bet we wouldn't have given the Japanese the same abatement.
It's a $400 million project, it's just more zeros.
So if we're gonna give money to you, why don't we give money to a private citizen that builds a house? Why don't we give them a tax abatement? Why don't we give a tax abatement to a private citizen that upgrades their property? We don't do that.
No, we don't even assess them.
We don't even assess them. And so why do we, again, I just don't see the rationale in making our taxpayers pay more money so that you can build a facility here. If the facility operates on that small margins where it can't afford the taxes, then it probably shouldn't be here. That's the way I look at business.
There's no additional expenses associated with this. It would be a just delayed reaction on the taxation.
10 years, and that has to be made up somewhere.
Well, there's no additional expense.
What?
There's no additional expense. I mean, we're not running anything. We're this thing I'm talking about that happened with the Japs. The Cass County's gonna build them $100
This
million
isn't
worth
Cass
of
County.
roads.
There's no additional expense for any
But
business.
we're not asking.
There's no
this-
additional expense for any
It's
business.
not like you're asking for us to
We aren't
lose
asking-
money.
Right.
Yes.
You're just saying just
We're not
don't
asking you to
charge
bring
us.
us water, we're not asking you to build roads into it,
Right.
we're not asking you to put utilities into it. It is what I'm getting at, there is no additional expense.
At this point, our role is to just forward this to the state. Is
Right,
that-
I think we're all getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
here. It
Yeah.
has to go to the state, and
I know that.
and we have to have hearings.
Yeah, we
And-
filled out all that paperwork, and we got a letter today from the state that said, something to do with the Renaissance Zone, and they're providing proof that we're a corporation that's in good standing, and that means little or nothing, I suspect. If we aren't in good standing, we wouldn't be
No,
here.
no.
But the state is aware of the application, and whatever else, I'm not familiar with what happens from here. We'll fill out any and all paperwork that are necessary to have it considered, I guess.
Let me clarify one thing, Stephanie. Yes, they are asking for something. If they were to be taxed on the value of this property after it was built, that would lower every resident's tax liability in Griggs County. So by not taxing them on that property value, you are in essence raising every resident's tax liability. So they are asking for something. If they weren't asking for something, they wouldn't be here, would they?
What did we do with Central Plains? When they built-
We didn't. Our predecessors did.
Okay.
But there's, again, look at all the businesses, I can't remember doing this, look at all the businesses in Cooperstown and Griggs County that haven't received this, and now they, whether it be on a ideological standpoint, they didn't get it and this one is, or there's businesses that compete with this business that didn't get the tax break. It's nothing against the business coming here, it's just let's operate all on one smooth footing.
At this point, our only responsibility is to forward your application to the state to see if you qualify.
Well, we sent it, that was just a simple one-page thing, and I think this is what we got response to today. And, we'll certainly fill out anything that needs to bring it back to,
So you've
to,
already
to this
applied,
board.
you've already applied to the state to get your status?
yeah.
Okay.
So,
And all it is a one-page letter I can certainly share with you. It just says, we find the corporation to be in good standing.
that's all they're doing.
And they've applied for tax relief.
So in number 24, as a project operator, any officers of the project received any prior property tax incentives, and you didn't.
That's the exact
But
application.
you have.
In Steele County.
Yeah, it doesn't ask that. And then at number 25, is any similar business being conducted by other persons in the municipality? And you mark no, and I can just offhand, I can name 3 of them that are conducting chemical, seed, and fertilizer operations in the county.
Well, in the county, sure. Okay.
In
I was thinking that,
municipality.
saying the thing, I had the city in mind maybe when I checked that.
Oh, who is it city in this or the county in this? Because the city was in this before when that hydros thing, right? The city, when we had the.
The city signed off on the ET zone that they're all right with anhydrous being
That
That's
was
what
all
that was?
Right. I
at
mean,
that distance from town.
The tax, from a taxation, property taxation standpoint, it is countywide.
So we're a long ways from making
I know, I
a
understand.
decision here. First of all, the anhydrous tank, regardless of what decision is made, that was started before the application was done.
Yep.
It's
So-
not considered taxable property, that's equipment. An anhydrous tank is equipment, not buildings.
Okay, well,
Should be exempt from property tax.
okay. Regardless, it,
R2 and Finley are
whether
exempt.
whether it's property or not, or whether it's taxable property or not, that would be exempt, or it would not be. I shouldn't say exempt. That would not be
Yeah,
part of this.
it would be
project.
just a dry plan, yeah. None of the site prep, none of the roads qualify.
So I sent, I think Scott forwarded you, or I actually forwarded you some information, I think, the guidelines. So we're a long ways from this in the first place because there has to be notice published to citizens, there has to be hearings, where the commission has to
Yep.
take testimony.
We
for
filled
and
all
against
that out. Yeah.
So we're
That's-
quite a ways away from.
That's this,
Okay.
some of that is this right here.
Yeah, to notify any
Yeah.
potential customers that would be against it, yeah.
Yeah.
So today we just listen, have it in our mind.
Yeah,
what you
today
want it,
we're
and
not
then we-
making any decisions.
Okay.
This is kind of an informational situation, I think.
The
Okay.
municipality forwards the application to the Department of Commerce and Economic Development for its review and recommendation of the eligibility of the project
Oh, okay.
as a primary sector business, so.
Any idea what that time lag on that is? And is it 6 months or 6 days or?
who would have
That's
no
gonna be a
idea.
period of time. I mean, if you watch the Fufang or
Yeah,
Fufang
Grand
or whatever it
Forks.
is in Grand Forks, I mean, that's exactly what they're going through right now. So it's going to take some time.
But that isn't the final determination, a yes or no. That's just the ability to move ahead.
Determines
Once it's-
whether the
Right.
project is eligible
Right.
from the states.
Yeah, the taxing authority, which is the county commission,
Right.
eventually decides.
You get to
whether or
make the
not-
decision, but there's a process. I mean, there's a it's more than a 30-day process that we
Oh,
have to go through.
I don't know. But to your question, yes, there has been a similar one granted to CHS.
The, the other thing, I don't know if you're looking for input from the township officers of Cooperstown Township, but they've reached out and said they're supportive of the project. And we're on their land, it's not city, maybe the city will annex that in one day, maybe they won't. I think we've heard a little discussion about that, but it was close enough. We had to respect the ET zone and get them to approve the hydros plant, though.
No, and I don't think anybody is against the project being in Griggs County. I think that what it comes down to is, should the taxpayers of Griggs County have to help subsidize that? That's
And
from my standpoint.
There'll be people on both sides of it
Yeah.
at the hearing, I would assume.
Yeah.
That's would be the time to hash it out.
The other side of it is that if it doesn't get built, which I don't think the tax will matter.
Probably not.
If it doesn't get built, there again, it is not reducing the tax burden of any taxpayer in the county.
If it doesn't, no,
Yeah.
but if it does,
Yes.
it certainly, if
it
it,
could
over
be.
the whole
Time.
purpose, for bringing businesses into a community, a county, is to raise the value of the county in order to share the expenses of that county on a bigger basis. So if you bring a business in and they don't share in the expenses, in fact, they are costing the taxpayer money. I mean, we don't have to have a very long memory just to look south of the bypass down here and look what happened with what is now the car dealership. There was all kinds of money pumped into that, tax incentives for 15 years, all for the purposes because we're building up the community, and guess what happened? The minute the thing was sold, this thing is out of town and all that money was gone. Now, I'm saying this is gonna happen here, but if you don't if you keep out of those situations, then you're never in those situations.
Sure.
Probably not with a business been.
I understand that, but again, how do you explain to one of my constituents, an old lady in Binford, North Dakota, that her taxes have to go up so you can build a facility down south of Cooperstown? It's pretty tough.
What's it gonna cost the county per year? I mean, in tax, is it 192? Is that what that number is? How much a year?
Well,
is it?
the dry fertilizer plant
I mean,
that
how
we've
much would-
priced
how
out
much-
is 3.5 million.
How much should we, my question is, how much should we lose in taxation over those, every year?
Do you know what the mills would be to
Yeah.
calculate on a
You follow what I'm
3.5
saying?
million
Till
valuation?
we
We don't
see where it falls, we
falls,
don't know,
we don't know.
but it doesn't matter if it's $1. If it's $1 we don't have, we have to get it somewhere else. That's the point of this.
Yeah, like I said, we aren't asking for any help with infrastructure.
No.
As a matter of fact, the infrastructure's done.
Yeah, I would.
Power's in there. Well, we gotta figure out where we're gonna grab water. It's really the last utility that isn't in there. We had to have some type of road built just for the anhydrous tank to get trailers in there and stuff, so, we aren't asking for any help there at all, so. And if you guys got questions after we're done visiting here today, don't feel bashful about calling, so.
No, I just don't see where it serves the majority. And why the majority should have to pay for services that they cannot access.
I totally don't disagree with you, but You know,
Still gotta try and get
if it's been a precedence to do this, you hate to be the first one that don't participate then.
Somebody would feel proud if you set a precedence going the other way. I would, certainly.
Yeah.
I think government does way too much, and I think it takes way too much from the people that are supposed to be the government. And this is just another instance of a business taking advantage of a situation it shouldn't take advantage of. You have plenty of cash on hand to do this without having to have the citizens put more money, without having to have the citizens put more money into your bank account, and I don't think that should happen.
It's all borrowed money for the.
Do we need to have a motion to send
No,
this
it's already
on?
been sent in.
No, we,
Well, I think it's just part of the process, so I don't see any need to have a motion because
Okay.
I don't think you have you don't have the discretion as whether you send it in. I
No.
think it's just part of the process, so it just gets sent.
This
in.
was sent to state, right?
Just that one page.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Not the rest of the application.
The application,
should
we-
come here.
So
we
send
send,
in.
Okay.
yeah,
But it should be sent in because it just
you know,
part of the process is that the municipality forwards the application to the Department of Commerce, and they should have the municipality or county because it applies to both cities and counties.
I have a question on your from reading it said it has to add value to a product and it's more of a retail. How do you add value to fertilizer?
This would qualify for sales tax preferential treatment because it's a processing plant.
What does it process?
So you take 5 different types of fertilizer, mix it together, put chemical and adjuvants on it, and load it in the farmer's truck.
That's considered,
Yeah, they got the sales tax preferential treatment on the plant in Finley, which is a state deal. You know.
But not on the anhydrous or the chemical portion of it.
No, well, the anhydrous plants are 50 years old.
No, but I
And,
mean, and the chemical, the retail chemical sales isn't a processing.
No, it isn't.
And the seed isn't a processing.
Seed qualifies automatically. Yep. The only reason all that crap because I was a CPA for 50 years and did thousands of these applications.
Mm-hmm.
I think liquid fertilizer plants would qualify.
But, yeah,
I think you could argue the chemical would too. God knows you put 12 different chemicals in every load nowadays when you load up your sprayer.
But not.
but it doesn't add value
But
though.
not.
You can't use it alone, you know, without the surfactant, without the defoamer and all this other crap. in
Yeah,
there.
but it doesn't make it worth more. That's what adding value means.
And,
Yeah.
and
You-
on site, yeah.
Well, I think we need to. One of the things that we probably should do is talk about a potential date for the hearing, because it's up to the elevator to publish the notice. But I think that we should set a date for a hearing or talk about a date for a hearing.
Can we do that until we know whether they're
Eligible?
eligible?
I suppose probably not.
Or is that kind of a
I
slam
would
dunk
think
on
so.
eligibility? Just,
I'm not sure. I think that we probably should set a date in the future and see what's going to happen, I guess.
So will you correct the application like the business competition?
Yep.
There's certainly competition in
Yep.
all fields other than in.
And the other one, I kind of misunderstood, but yeah, there's probably 2 of them that should be changed different, John. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say in the county for property tax incentives, and I don't know if you've got.
That hasn't been submitted to the state, so we certainly could redo it and,
But I don't know if you've gotten property tax incentives other places, but your response says none in Griggs County, which makes we assume that you have
in
property somewhere else, yeah.
Yeah, we got a.
So the answer to
A 10-year
24,
abatement
yeah.
on the terminal in Finley.
So the answer to 24 should be yes. It should be you have received property tax incentives.
Yeah, if you think of it on a county or a state basis.
Has the project operator or any officers of the project received any prior property tax incentives?
The answer would be yes to that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, I don't know, when the city approved our elevator in Finley,
If the answer-
I don't know if that paperwork went to the state or if the city had authority to grant that.
It
We
would've-
filled out a 1-page form.
It would have followed the same process. The
Yeah.
municipality or the county follows the same
Or a
process.
municipality.
Yeah.
Only if they made it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of things that have gone, that have taken place in this arena that have never followed the process. I don't remember CHS following this process, public hearings and all that.
I don't remember either.
I think it was just granted here and that was the end of it.
For Central Plains, you mean?
Yeah. I think, so I don't think that took place, I don't know.
I think with when we first expanded south of the highway with the elevator also, I think that was a abatement too for a certain amount of time. I don't remember of any hearings or anything at that time.
How old would that have been? How many years
Oh,
ago?
I'm
that's a
pretty sure I
lot of
remember
years.
Dave talking about it. It had abatements.
Yeah. Yep. That had to be,
Well, I think they started after 2000, didn't he?
yeah,
2002,
Yeah.
2003.
yeah, I think it was like a 5 or 6 thing. 05 or 06.
So anyway, if the application could be corrected. and-
So we'll just bring that back to whoever you dropped the first one off, make those 3 changes then.
Well, I
We
think there
have
was
a-
more, I think there was, I can't say for sure, but I think there's some more. I mean, I just scanned through it, and that's what I saw, just scanning through it. I don't know when the notice to competitors of hearing on application, when that has to be sent out or not, and I suppose you have to identify the competitors to do that. I'm not sure how that's done either.
And it's outlined in that process.
And I think, I'll talk to you afterwards too.
No, there's no process in place anymore where the state makes up the property taxes that weren't paid. Is there, Jamie, like there was Renaissance zones were?
I don't think so. It's not like a tax abatement
Yeah.
for a retired person or anything like that. I just think that
Because that would change the whole scenario. I'm not against taking the state's money. I'm just against taking our own citizens' money. But that was for residential homes, wasn't it, Jamie?
I think so. I think that's just yeah.
And then the state canceled that about, what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago?
I think there's still some out there for disabled veterans and that sort of thing, but
Not for the new,
not for new homes. No.
New home construction. Okay. So it doesn't qualify under the Renaissance Zone Certificate of Good Standing. Okay.
I think our governor's probably the biggest recipient of all this stuff, right?
Downtown Fargo.
Yeah.
To the place where he's a multi millionaire, right?
Yeah, if you wanted to build a high-rise apartment building in Fargo, you could have got a tax abatement. But they just did.
The whole city of Cooperstown would fit in one of their buildings, I suppose, but
Oh boy.
we're gonna live in a world where way over 50% of the people in the state will be in Fargo, right? And it's coming fast.
So I don't see how we can even set a date when we're gonna have this. But let's,
We could if we just assume it's gonna be
Eligible.
eligible.
yeah, but how long does it take them to get an eligible state?
Well,
Yeah.
first we need to define what's gonna be eligible. I mean, it's obvious that there's some discussion on whether or not the anhydrous plant is,
Sure,
and the
sure.
chemical warehouse, and
Well, and
you
I
know,
think
what-
that's
what adds value.
and I think that's. I don't think you make that determination now. I think you make that determination after the hearing.
Well, if you make some changes to your application,
Yeah, we'll bring that back.
Send it
to
out
again
to the
tomorrow.
state.
Then it's 3 new checks on there, so.
and then
That'll be back here tomorrow, and anything else you guys would want from us, let us know. You
Well,
know,
it won't have to be here tomorrow, because we'll have to review it again amongst the,
In
Yeah.
2 weeks?
I mean,
Is
the
our
whole
next
council,
meeting?
the commission will have to review it. You can't, one person can't okay
Yep.
it.
Well, I don't know if you need to reading instructions from the tax department. I'm not sure that anybody needs to.
check their homework.
I didn't see that either when I read that. You
I don't
said,
think so because
you
the
sent me
procedures
that.
state that The project operator applies to the governing body of the municipality where the potential project is to be located.
Yeah.
If the project will be within city limits, the project operator applies to the city governing body. If the project is outside the city limits, application is made to the county commission. And it states the municipality forwards application to the Department of Commerce, Division of Economic Development and Finance for its review and recommendation as to the eligibility of the project as a primary sector business. So I'm not sure that, I mean, I think if they get it done, I think it just goes.
Yeah,
I don't think the commission-
think we're authorized to edit their application.
Okay.
That would be my take on it.
Well, it would be, I
No,
mean,
we don't wanna mislead them either.
You know,
but I think it would be helpful because still, the yes or no is coming from the commission at the end of the day.
if there's something that,
But,
on the
yeah,
application that
yeah, I mean, without our.
that
without
we
the
are in
application
disagreement
being-
with, it could affect.
Right.
Without the application being correct, you can't notify the competitors.
You're right. I mean, I think it has to be correct, and I think, I mean, it's in your best interest to edit it to be correct in the way the commissioners want, because ultimately at the end of the day, they're gonna say if you play or not.
No, that we didn't send to the state, you know.
No,
just-
but so.
But it's ready to
Under
now, then,
business
right?
competition, if any similar business is being
Yeah.
conducted by other operators in the municipality, you answered no, well, then that negates notice to competitors of hearing of application for property tax incentives, because if there are no competitors, there's no one to send form to. Right?
Yeah, I mean, unless
So
it's a
it'd
general
be
citizen.
any competitor in Griggs County. 'cause
Within the
it's
county, so this is different than, these instructions aren't really correct, because
They refer to municipal.
they refer to municipality, but they're actually talking county, because it states, if the project is outside city limits, application is made to the county commission. So in my interpretation of the law, John would be correct, it would be any business.
Or
within-
citizen, right?
Within the county would be a business that would be in any business in competition with you should be notified, and they should be listed on the application, in my opinion.
Yeah, and do they have to have a?
Does it ask for specific, name the businesses? Every farmer's a seed dealer nowadays, we gotta notify all them. There's
Is any
500
similar
of them.
business being conducted by other operators in the municipality? It should, yeah, and it,
All you have
so
to do is
that's
say
everything.
That's yes. So part of the process, and
Fertilizer
you should have
plants and
this. This is
something.
that stuff that I sent.
Okay.
Yeah, I did.
The project
Nick,
the
can
project
you-
operator publishes
Okay, yeah.
two notices
Across
to
the road,
competitors
just
of hearing on the
about
application. So when you say they publish it, it has to be in an official county newspaper for
Okay.
2 times.
Yeah, I remember reading that too, and we can do that whenever
yeah.
we get the green light to do it.
What's the scope of the competition? I don't know, I can't, it's not.
But you don't send them specific.
No,
The law doesn't require what the law requires.
We're
is
just
the right thing
notifying
to
by
do.
the paper then?
That's what it states to do.
Okay.
I don't know. In my opinion, going above and beyond and notifying by mail isn't the worst thing in the world either. But it requires a project operator to publish 2 notices to competitors of the hearing on the application. The notices are published in an official newspaper of the county or city at least 1 week apart. The last notice must be published at least 15 days, but not more than 30 days before the city or county considers the application.
Is that codes 40-57.1-03?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, the deadline for the Courier or the Griggs County paper is Tuesdays, so,
But I think first of all, you have to figure out when the hearing is going to be. Because
don't we have to wait till the state gives approval before we have a hearing?
it's probably in the best interest to do it instead of guessing.
Okay, so our game plan is wait till we get the approval from the state, and then you'll do this part and pick a date.
then we could,
Or pick a date.
we could post it in the, does the hearing come before or after we post it in the paper, I would assume?
Yeah, it has to be posted in the paper.
It has to be posted in the paper
About the
before
hearing.
we have the hearing.
So as soon as you guys hear, will we hear or will you hear about whether it's an acceptable project?
You should get it, I think, shouldn't you?
I would guess
assume
it's
both
county would be
parties
because
would
we're
be.
the ones that send it
First
in.
step is to correct the
Correct the application.
Yep.
The second step is then to have the commission approve that application before we're to the state.
No,
No?
the way the procedure reads, it just gets sent, the municipality forwards the application to the Department of Commerce. It doesn't state that the commission has to approve it, because we have to have the hearings before the county board to approve the application.
The municipality or the county or whatever
Yeah.
forwards the application.
Yeah, it does not state that it has to be approved, it just states that it forwards the application.
Well, would we forward the application that we know that we could actually knew was inaccurate?
Well, this application I think has to be changed.
He's gonna fix
To
it.
be
But I mean, that was a question. So-
Right.
So if it doesn't require approval, then why are we forwarding it to the application? Why did they even say that?
I don't know why.
He wrote it up. We just follow the steps.
But I don't think you can't approve the application, because then you would be approving.
You can't do that
the
prior to
taxes.
the hearings.
Yeah.
So when we bring that application back tomorrow or later today, who do we give it to? Who would you give the first one to?
Samantha.
To you, to Samantha, okay.
But John, I think what you consider during the hearings would be the accuracy of the application. So if the application wasn't accurate,
It'd be in their best interest.
it
to
would
make sure
it
it's
would be in
accurate,
yes, it would be in
I
the
understand.
entity's best interest
Yeah.
to not withhold any information from the commission, because ultimately you're the ones that get to decide if they play it or not.
What's your timeline on building this? Everything this summer, is that your timeline?
Well, I
What do you
think we would start sometime this summer, depending on when the contractor could come, when we give them the
You're
final.
trying, are you doing the dry fertilizer plant first,
Yep,
and then the chemical shit after that? Maybe,
yeah, maybe. Mhm.
okay.
So, yeah, it's, you just have to you just have to rely on Jamie for guidance on this, because
Yeah,
this is.
I wonder if they approve it as being an eligible project, will that approval come to us or to the courthouse here, or?
And then,
I would guess they'll get a letter to both of you. It just states for its review and recommendations. So they'll probably make a recommendation to the county.
We'll probably both get a copy of that if it is approved as eligible.
That would be my guess.
But nobody knows how long it's supposed to take then, right?
No.
But I would guess you'd call the EDC department and they'll tell you they could turn that around in a certain amount of time. I don't think it's gotta go through legislative process, it would be just the
Yeah.
economic development.
so I'd probably correct number 11 on your application too then. I mean, I don't think this site's in Glenfield, or Greenfield.
Is what?
I don't think it's in Greenfield.
Yeah. Legal property, where it says number 11,
Oh, yeah.
if you look here. Greenfield site of house and hydrous plant.
Should
If
be,
that was a typo
should
or,
be Cooperstown Township, right? Right? Cooperstown Township.
You know, where I took that off of when they assigned us a 911 address. I know it's Cooperstown Township.
yeah.
No, a Greenfield site means it's a virgin site.
Okay,
Nothing to do with Greenfield Township.
Oh,
Okay.
it doesn't, okay.
Well, you still have to correct.
Like
number-
Hannaford was a Greenfield elevator.
You still have to correct number 11 because it says legal description of the project real property. So that would be a
Yeah.
township section and lot
That's further in
number.
the application there, though, I think.
Well, that's what, I'm just reading it. Legal description of the property, project real property. Page 12. Oh, well, I guess it's not page 12 in here.
Question 11.
Yeah. Because we got a 911 address from the courthouse here at one time. No, that Greenfield just refers to a virgin site. There was nothing there before.
Oh, here it is.
What page you got, Stephanie?
It's on a different.
It's on page 2 of yours.
Page 2 of mine?
Yeah.
Question 11.
Question
Okay,
11
so
right up
you
at the
want
top.
it is
Number 11 there then, John?
11, it says.
north 15 acres of 46, range 59 north.
Yeah. That's the
So
legal
that
description.
is what you would have in number 11 is, see on this page here?
The legal?
See where you have
Oh,
all
and
your,
that's what's on the one that,
see where you have this whole northeast quarter of Cooperstown Township, and then you have that.
oh,
That should be on number
not a
11.
description of the equipment, a description of the property. They got it. All right.
Oh yeah, we'll get this.
Got it.
Perfect.
I know we filled that out with the 911 address somewhere else in one of these pages, but,
Question 2.
it's on the notice of competition to competitors, is the legal description of the property.
Well, bring it back and we'll get it sent off to the state.
Yeah, yep. We'll
Do
turn
we
it
have to
around
review it again, or when he brings it back, Sam can just send it?
I'll just send it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, if you don't, we're good?
I think so.
Okay, if you have any questions, any of you don't feel bashful about calling, and then, like I said, if we both get notice that it was eligible, we maybe need to let each other know if you get something, I get something.
Sure. And I can get the notices in the paper and get the hearing scheduled.
Yeah.
All right.
Is there it would be just that document then? They just shrink it up and put it in the paper then? Or is there another document, I wonder?
Wouldn't
You have
know.
to publish a legal notice, so you have to make notice to all of your competitors.
Yeah, that's what it says at the top of that page.
Yeah. I'd look in the Grand Forks Herald and see what that foo-fung did. Seriously, I mean, that's what I would do, because they would have had to done the same thing.
Yeah. Seems a little more controversial with these big processing plants, no doubt. Okay, well, thanks for your time, guys.
All right, thanks,
you.
Ross.
Thank you. Yeah.
No. Social Services Zone Plan.
They just need a motion to approve it, you know. I looked through the last, when we heard last time, they sent it like the day before, you know, or that day, you know, of the whole thing on that one. They put those changes in there you talked about, John, you know, of the ones, you remember up on, you know, on the,
So where is it?
well, it's actually, you don't have it, it's actually in your last commissioner's proceedings, in your last email things there. That, I mean, they're in on the phone end of it, you know, when you sent it out, Sam.
Yeah. But in order for us to approve it, we have to have it in front of us, so we actually present
Okay.
it with it, and then we.
That's-
propose it with- yeah.
I know, but that's where it's at. I mean, that's where it's on the last,
The one we just got last night,
no, the one last week,
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, that came that morning you sent out, Sam.
Oh.
That's where it's at.
Oh,
You follow me?
I was like, I didn't get anything.
That's where it's at.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Can you
That
print
was
it?
my
Can you print
mistake.
it quick and bring it in here?
Yeah, I am so sorry. That was my mistake.
That's where it's at.
Okay, and that
That should've
came
been
from
packed
Jill,
in.
right?
Yeah,
Jill, I'm so sorry. I was like, I didn't receive anything for that.
that's what she
Oh,
told me.
okay.
How many pages is that?
Oh, boy, it's a lot.
Well, then I don't want to, I don't have
Okay.
time to go through it now.
I'm
Okay.
so sorry. That was my fault. I'm so sorry.
Well, if you
about
want to
that.
just table it
Just
for,
put it till next.
table for next time, oh, that's fine.
Okay.
I know,
Okay.
okay, that's fine. But that's where it's at. That's,
Okay,
it's about-
yeah, okay.
And it's highlighted, she's got the changes in there of the,
Yeah.
17 pages.
the things before you talked about with
Well,
money wise,
it's a
indirect costs.
fiscal responsibility part of it is what we're looking at.
Yeah, but it's in, you can look and see what you think, okay?
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Sorry about
We'll table
that.
it for next, that's, yeah.
Great.
That was,
Do we need to get a motion to table the
I'll make a motion to table it, social service zone plan.
motion
for
by
next time.
Scott to table Social Services Zone Plan till we get more information? Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Seconded by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. County-wide hiring freeze.
I think that sounds more severe than what it actually is. I think we just want notification if a department is going to hire somebody that is retired or left the position, so that there can be consideration given to maybe that position is going to be changed in the scope of its performance, maybe it's going to be eliminated. We don't want to have somebody hired and then 6 months later when we do the budget, the position is gone. You don't want to put somebody in a position that they don't know what they're getting into. And I think with the state of the budgets right now, I think anytime that we have somebody to be replaced, we seriously have to look at whether or not we're gonna replace that position, modify that position, what we're gonna do with that position.
Are you referring to Jamie's secretary retiring?
In general,
You know, whether,
We have-
what is that, a full-time position, part-time position?
well, I mean, you could use that as a example, because I've heard that there's been some push to try to combine that position now with, so if Jamie hires someone right now, wouldn't it be nice if that person who gets hired knows that possibly in 6 months that position will be different?
Changed something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it's about, because ultimately, this board has the ability to hire and fire anybody come budget time by just getting rid of the budget. So this is more a courtesy to the new hire, so that they know exactly what might happen and where they might stand.
So,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess here, like, we have, like the road department, we got 3 or 4 employees that are gonna retire probably next 5 years, you know.
Right,
You know.
and so shouldn't we be able, in that scenario, shouldn't we be able to decide whether now when they're retiring, should they be replaced with a full-time employee, or should they be replaced on a contract basis with an outside operator? Where you don't have the employee
Or at least have that
benefits,
discussion.
obligations and all that. And so that's kind of the scope of the things here.
if we approve that, would that affect Jamie right now with his, because he's right now
Looking.
advertising for somebody to be in that position. I mean, it's, and probably gonna, would you just not fill it until the budget time? Or would you say, hey, we'll fill it and just let that person know that possibly your duties are gonna be,
I think that's.
Both
I- see,
places?
I don't think we have a hammer to say you can't do it, because the money's budgeted until the end of the year.
right?
I think all this was to try to make everybody aware that there should be notice given to everybody involved if someone else was gonna be hired, including, more importantly, the person that was gonna be hired. That's what this was about.
Okay.
And, and Jamie understands that, everybody understands that we're in a position where there might be some changes made as far
Totally.
as duties and everything else.
Totally.
But no, it's not meant as a, no, you can't do it, it's meant as, well, if you're gonna do it, make sure that everybody's aware of what's happening.
Let's revamp this
And the
position to,
possibilities of what might happen. Does that make sense?
But then there again, since Jamie is
Jamie's just
here and
here.
we're talking about it,
We're talking about you, Jamie.
we're poking
know,
at you.
okay, if he hires this person,
Right?
well, and if this person's gonna do other duties besides that, shouldn't those departments have a little bit of say in who they get hired to?
Here's my position on the whole deal. If there's someone it's kind of tough with 2 elected officials, because if someone is working for an elected official, anybody else, including the commission, doesn't have any can't say who a person hires or fires
That's right.
unless it's done legally. So, no, I guess the easy answer would be no, because that would be contrary to North Dakota law. Now, if
No,
someone
what
is,
part you mean no? No,
as far as other
the
person
other
having
people having a say?
right.
Okay,
Let me answer it in a more, he's right, in a more practical term. From a strictly statutory standpoint,
yep,
no, the other entities do not have a say in it, because as of right now, the money is allocated strictly to Jamie's office. So he has the ability for the next number of months until the end of the year to do with that money as we, as a board, allowed him to when we set the budget. From a get along standpoint, yeah, he probably should be able to work with the other entities to arrive at some kind of amicable arrangement if it's a consensus somehow of the board that that's what's gonna happen. But you don't know that yet. So you almost have to leave things up in the air until
But
we can
didn't we-
actually take action on it.
didn't we have a discussion once that you can adjust the budget long as it's down, you cannot increase?
Increase it, correct?
Yeah.
You
That
can't-
has been done,
You can. So
but
here's
that would really be conflict there, boy.
Here's my take. Here's my take in this specific situation. First of all, I'm kind of pissed because we have talked about allowing other people to use my assistant. However, this wasn't brought up to me that this was coming to the commission, so I think it's bush league that it happened.
So what, give me the background, what happened, Jen?
Jennifer's just retiring.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't know that.
So Jennifer's retiring.
I'll back it up a ways farther. When Jamie got his assistant, originally it was gonna be shared between the sheriff and the state's attorney.
Okay,
And the sheriff, not this sheriff,
Yeah,
Bob
Bob,
threw a stink because he said there was a conflict of interest, thinking that we were gonna say, okay, well, you can have one too. Well, we didn't say that. We said, okay, you can have any, and Jamie gets the whole assistant. So that's how it came to be.
But
But to add on to that, I have no problem allowing Jennifer to do anyone
Sure.
else's work, and that's what's been going on.
yeah.
She has been assisting the sheriff, but I don't think to hire someone and put someone in a position where they have two bosses, where it's split between two offices, that's going to create a bunch
That's
of
the
conflict.
problem.
So I have no problem if the sheriff's office needs something done and I don't have much going on, or I don't have anything pressing going on.
Sure.
And Jennifer's been doing that, and that's the way I plan on continuing to run the office. I don't think so. The full-time employees are paid 37 and a half hours a week. So if they're not working on specific tasks of my office for those 37 and a half hours, they shouldn't be sitting and playing on Facebook. They should be doing work for sheriff's office or any other office. I mean, that's my opinion. I think that's what we need to be doing as employees. So I don't have any problem with her going and doing work for someone else. But I do have a problem with someone coming to the commissioners and not asking me about it first. I mean, I think that, like I said, Amber's used her. And that's gonna continue to be the case, is if there's not enough work to be done, that's the right thing to do for the taxpayers of the county, and that's kind of been my philosophy. She's helped Sam out, and she's helped Connie out, and
Done a lot for the tax director's position.
so, I mean, it's not as if I'm saying, no, she's not gonna get to work and I'm gonna be greedy, but I don't think having two bosses is quite the cool thing to do and put someone in the middle
yeah, that's hard.
of answering to two people. But if there's not, and there isn't always, we're not busy for 37 and a half hours a week.
Right.
But when I didn't have a person here, I acted as my own assistant for about 6 months. And I think half the county was upset with me because I didn't have anybody there.
Right.
So in order to get someone, it has to be a full-time position, I think. But I just don't think it's the right thing to do, to be putting someone in a situation where they have two bosses competing over their time.
question for
How do
you.
you split their time though? I mean, how are
Yeah.
you gonna delegate and say, well, today I'm not busy, you can go there today, but Amber doesn't need her today, or Sam doesn't need her today, or somebody doesn't need her today, but you know,
I think it's an as needed basis. I mean, if there are things that Amber needs to have done immediately, and there's things that I need to have done immediately. And
Right.
if that's the case, then that person just goes and does that. I mean,
Okay.
there hasn't been a conflict as far as me say. I've never said that you can't go do something for someone else.
So the new person that, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was saying, so the new person that you do hire, you would just put on there, let them know upon hire
Yeah,
that, hey,
yeah.
here's the thing, you work with me, I am your boss full time. However, when things are slow here, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
you're expected
you're
to, not like
expected
you
to. You're
can, but you're expected
you're
to help out
expected
the
to go
sheriff's
help out.
office.
I mean,
or-
that's
So we would leave, this is just all conjecture, so we would leave the budget in place for the full-time employee in the state's attorney's office. We would count on Jamie to be a benevolent dictator.
So gracious.
As he gave services to the other agencies, and if after a year that didn't prove to be the case, then we could further delegate services. I would think that would be a way to
Well,
do
yeah,
it.
together anyway, so.
I have no, Amber and I work together really well, and I have no problem with that. Like I said, Jennifer, this office is run so smoothly with Jennifer. I mean, it's been awesome. And I don't even know when she does work for Amber, because I don't really care as long as our stuff gets done. So she really gets, when I'm not here, she gets to choose the work as she wants to. and it gets done. So I don't care.
Okay.
Didn't she kind of help with emergency management?
She has been
stuff?
doing emergency management
She
stuff.
is,
So her plate, that position's plate is a lot more full with the emergency management stuff than I thought it was going to be, because we're actually trying to get stuff done. And for instance, we have the multi-hazard mitigation plan. We've got reporting things on that, so we're working on that. Actually, yesterday we had a tabletop exercise with. I think the hospital got a grant for it, but we worked with it for emergency management. So we had that yesterday. We had a missing person tabletop exercise in here actually. So the position has become a little more busy because of that, because there's a lot of documentation, a lot of reporting to the feds and to the state. But it still hasn't, it hasn't affected her ability to help with the sheriff's department when they need help too.
And I can only speak for myself. This wasn't trying to go around or bring it up to the commission behind your back. This started out as a countywide hiring freeze, and you're, just because this is fresh in everybody's mind, came up as an example. I think that's what happened. I'm speaking for other people, but I don't
That's my
think,
feeling,
yeah, I don't think it was
just
necessarily
an
done
example.
behind
It
your
wasn't
back.
because of it. I just inquired of,
Yeah.
is this, this is your, right now, what do we do with you? Because if this is what it is, I mean, you're the first person that would be on the list to
Yeah, and I was
experience
trying to
it.
explain it. This
Okay.
wasn't a hammer. No, you can't hire somebody. This was more informational to the people you're hiring that this might happen.
But and that's, I mean, I know when we advertise the job duties or state attorney's duties, but like I said, I think that we owe it to the taxpayers. I mean, I don't think our job is to work 30 hours and if there's nothing else going on, then go hop on Facebook or whatever during the day. I mean,
Take a nap.
the citizens pay for 37 and a half hours a week for the employees to work, and I think that's what happened. I mean, if I went and worked for John and if I worked 30 hours and I didn't think I had anything else to do and sat on Facebook, I know where my ass would be and would not be in your office anymore. So, I mean, that's...
And we'll have this discussion come budget time. We'll see where we all stand on that. But I would trust you to make those determinations on need. But I can only speak for myself.
Yeah, just one question. We fund his position, Griggs County does, or Nelson County help too?
No.
Totally us.
Yep.
Okay.
So I have a part-time assistant in Nelson County, and she actually does up
Okay.
there. They actually, I've only been funded with a part-time assistant. I wish there was more money in the budget to have a full-time assistant up there, because there's a lot of time that I'm scrambling to get something done, or she does work full-time in the courthouse, and it's just split up half a day. I get her for half a day, and the extension office gets her for half a day, but I'm often stealing her from the extension office in the afternoon.
Okay. Do you have any applicants by chance?
I have one so far, and I think the one that has applied will be pretty good. So I don't know.
When is Jennifer's last day? When is she gonna retire?
Jennifer is retired. She's
She is
she's
retired.
left from full time, but she is helping on a temporary part-time basis. She's on vacation right now, and I can tell that she's gone because I'm not as organized as her for sure.
What was Amber looking for as far as help in her office? Is it somebody that's in the office or just with tasks? I don't know details.
Well, it's someone to help with her documentation. I mean,
It's not like somebody's there to
Sure.
just answer phones or anything. It's more somebody to.
It's documentation things, I think, paperwork. And I have no problem, like I said, that's fine. I have no problem with Jennifer
I
doing that.
think Shane is gonna be deployed with the Guard for 9 months. That puts a lot of more pressure on her.
Yeah, that girl works more hours than my
Yeah,
nurses
so-
do. She works way too many hours.
So I think that's what brought up her inquiry, if that could be shared help there, but
I guess the answer I can give you guys, if she needs help from whoever is gonna be my assistant, as long as we don't have anything extremely pressing going on that we have to get done for the court, I have absolutely no problem with it.
I just don't want somebody who gets hired and they're like, oh, you know what? I'm just too busy to help you out. I hate.
Yeah.
You don't know who you're gonna hire. That's gonna be. They can be like that.
well,
And speaking of, wasn't Amber supposed to be on this sheriff thing that got off the agenda?
But
right? Did I see that?
Okay, so you've seen that, and I was
Yeah.
putting something on there, and then I meant to take that off,
Okay.
and I.
Just checking.
Yep, that was my fault.
Okay.
Yep. Typo on my end. Sorry.
So yeah, the moral of the story is she can use whoever I hire whenever she wants and needs. And if I'm not following on, she can come to you guys and I can get you to it, because that's, I guess I think the person needs to fill their time up.
Yep.
Okay.
The multi-mitigation plan, you need a couple volunteers
We
to
need a
come.
couple of representatives to come hang out with us on May 4th for our planning meeting. And it's pretty important. The planning meeting is May 4th from 6 to 8. I shouldn't have done it at May because that's everybody's in the field. I understand that. We're kind of under a timeline, and it's not really our fault, or time crunch. It's not really our fault because we just got our grant okayed. And our multi-hazard mitigation plan actually expired in 21, I think it was. But they didn't okay our grant until like February.
What time?
6 to 8 on the 4th.
Okay.
And it would be in here.
Not a big deal, we were delinquent with Bob for 7 years.
So, well, and FEMA's good with it because it was their fault. I mean, it was COVID stuff that was going on, so they didn't get it done. But
Participation
is a big deal because
yeah.
we have, I think it's a 25% match in the county, and we get credit for in-kind participation. So the more people that we have here that are stakeholders, the better off we are, because then that goes towards our in-kind.
Is this the one, the
Participation.
meeting where the fire departments and all that stuff come to, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, with everybody.
Yeah, so emails have gone out, notice has gone out in the paper. I posted a notice yesterday to the emergency manager's Facebook page as well. So if you guys see that, share it on Facebook so everybody knows, because it's the best thing that we can get is participation and as many people sign in as we can, and then I'll limit the liability of the county to that.
I could show up for that,
If more than 3 are going to be there, I need to notice a meeting. So.
or do you?
I think we had, last time they did the plan, 2 people went.
Yeah, I think 2 would be
It's a
good.
series of meetings, like once a month.
I'll be in Bismarck, so.
I'll volunteer then. Jamie?
Thank you guys.
Scott and Mark are gonna be your 2.
Can you send a reminder out to us, please?
Yep. I'll set an email up right now to get it to you guys.
Gold star.
Otherwise, yeah.
There's no way you're gonna be in the field May 4th anyway.
No, you're right. Yeah. Right. No, that's right.
There's some hills up by Binford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're skiing on them right now.
Yeah.
So that's all we need for the
Okay.
mitigation plan, is our two commissioner representatives.
We had kind of a cool thing yesterday. I had just let you guys know. We had the hospital got a grant for. It was originally going to be for an active shooter, just a single active shooter activity at the school, a full scale exercise, and we're going to do that May 25th. But there was enough money left over to do another tabletop exercise, so Derek actually came from Heartland Consulting, our consultants, yesterday, and we did the tabletop exercise for a missing person. And had law enforcement, ambulance, hospital, and fighter, myself, and anybody else who was
And then as well, they get so
come, I guess we had, I don't know, 15, 20 people.
So
And simulated,
years ago.
that activity was a winter storm and a bus going in the ditch and having injured passengers, as well as a couple passengers wandering away from the scene. So it was good. I think the money that gets spent on something like that's worth it. We had to search for a missing person in Lakota with the fire department last winter, and we didn't have the organization and
This
training.
doesn't
And
really say.
that was
You bet.
It was a good thing.
You want to back it up even more.
Or something that-
When everyone,
And it doesn't mind.
just all went missing, you know,
I hope I didn't
5
write
years
that.
ago, 6 years ago, it's like, and that was kind of disorganized, I'll be honest. Down in
When Carson,
same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
you
better
know, they
there.
weren't prepared for the enormous amount of people that came and helped.
Yeah.
And they learned from that, instead of setting up in the yard, you know, they said I should have set up a half a mile away from the farmstead and had people, so you got,
check in and check out, and yeah, I mean,
Yep.
so I think these things are good things because not everybody knows what's going on, and it gives some training and some opportunity for everybody to learn something. So I think that they're good, and it was good yesterday, I think. So May 25th, I think if you as commissioners want to come and spectate, we're doing a active shooter full scale activity at the school. So they're gonna have people with
Can we be victims?
toy guns. I think they've got enough victims, but they're gonna have enough.
Like
They're
a
gonna have people
Democrat,
with
you
toy
already
guns.
Thanks a lot.
I was thinking of something I held back, Scott.
So if you guys want to participate, we can get you guys hooked up with Derek, and you can spectate. I think on that, but I think it's the more training we can get, I think the better off we are.
Absolutely.
Very good, thanks, Jamie. You have anything else for us?
No.
We have employee manual and county practices. What's county practices?
That's recommendations from the audit.
So you got the employee manual, which is just, that's your one thing, and then your, the county, the other county policies for the auditor, the state auditor's office wanted you guys to take some action on these. Jamie, did you have time to look in?
Employee manual.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll do the employee manual first.
So what changes we're supposed to make the change in
The holidays, and I did take the polls, and everybody voted to keep all the holidays the same and throw out Juneteenth, so.
and the other thing was the designation that Mark brought up about days of vacation. It should rather be hours of vacation, because the road department works 10-hour days, so if they were gonna take their days in the summertime, they would be getting more vacation time than a typical, than somebody working in a courthouse, so it should be calculated in hours rather than days, correct?
Yeah, I think so. You
That
know,
make sense?
I'm gonna assume that it's already done that way.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Is it a full day or is it a?
I don't know how Wayne does his stuff. We just get his time sheets and then put them into the system, so I'm not 100% sure on
I
how.
think Maddie mentioned that they figure by hours. And you get
But we should clarify it here.
Yeah.
And it should just be hours.
just so like if you get 10 days, that's it's 8-hour days. You have 80 hours a year of pay period. So 10 days equals 80 hours. So whether you take out in 4 hours or 3 hours or 2 hours, and I think that's how Maddie is running it. Because I asked her last time, if somebody takes a half a day, she says I legit take how many hours they say. Take 3
yeah.
hours vacation, 4 hours vacation. So they take it out of the 80 at the end of the year.
Yes,
I
yes.
believe that's how it's ran.
Even
Yes.
compared to the road department that works 10-hour days? See, that was
Yes,
the.
yes,
So
he
they
actually
get
gives
their-
it, yes, he gives us the hours.
So their vacation day is the same amount of hours as your vacation day,
Yes, it'd be 8 hour for,
7.5.
or, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
See,
I think.
okay, so here's the scenario. You have 10 days of vacation,
Yep,
and I work at the road department, I have 10 days of vacation.
yep.
I take my 10 days of vacation during the summer when we're working 10-hour days, I get 100 hours of vacation time.
Right.
You get 75 hours.
Yeah.
That's what's gotta be corrected.
Yeah, which yeah.
After you said that, yes,
I think how Maddie
think it
has
is.
it figured is that what their regular schedule is, like, again, the 80 hours, and then they take 10 hours, they take 10 off at 80, and then take 4 off at 80. So they kind of count it not by the days, but by the actual hours. But it should, I mean,
The correction needs
Because
to
if they
say-
miss
should say
2 hours
hours.
worth
It
of.
should say 1 day of vacation equals 7.5 hours is all we need in there.
right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that no matter where you're working, 1 day of vacation credited to you is 7.5 hours.
Right.
And we don't have to kill another tree to get this figured out.
Yeah, how many times you printed this thing out?
Yeah, I know.
And then that's the paid days off is the thing that would make a difference.
Yes, it would. All that needs to be corrected for hours rather than
For
days.
hours. Because if the
But we're 37 and a half
Yeah,
here at the
but
courthouse,
say
but the road department is 40 hours.
Okay, then it should be corrected to 8 hours rather, because they work 8 and 10, so it should be 40 hours, it should be 40 hours, 5 days, 8 hours, yeah.
Okay.
And then the other one that I saw under budgets, 19 of 37. And I don't know how this got in here this way, it wasn't supposed to be. Griggs County employees will receive Social Security cost of living increase each year during budget time. That doesn't mean anything. It was intended to use the CPI as a basis or a guide to giving raises, but I didn't know how that got in there. It should be under salary and compensation. In an employee's manual, there shouldn't be a paragraph for budgets. That has nothing to do with the employee's manual. So it should be under salary and compensation. It can still be 4.7. I think it should read the previous calendar year's Social Security Consumer Price Index, parentheses CPI, may be considered during the salary/compensation negotiations related to the upcoming fiscal, parentheses, budget year.
But when you say maybe considered, that means one year you might not even give them that.
That's correct. Because
When they-
well, let me explain why. We, as a group, cannot obligate a future county commission to a fiscal obligation. So by setting this to we are doing that, because now what happens if inflation, not in the United States, it hasn't in the last 100 years, but inflation worldwide has got to be 20, 30, 40%, 100%. And what would happen if we were held to that? The adverse is true. If we were held to this paragraph, which is vague, then we'll have to make the employees pay back the overage from last year.
You guys have been following this for 7 years before I even was even here, and you guys were like,
yeah.
"This is how it is." And all of a sudden, when it might be high, it's like, "Oh my God, you gotta take it out."
What did we say last year when we went over it? We said no more. If you guys want to break that mold, then that mold is broken. And you said, "Yep, that's fine." And now all of a sudden, the mold is going to get put back together again? Don't think so.
Well, last year we did the cost of living, or this whatever increase,
Yep.
and then we did the COLA plus, so that there was an additional portion on there.
Show me in that one sentence where any of that is defined.
But that's how we did that, though. My
Show me
question.
where that's defined.
But my question on this is, if you take it out, now you're saying that they might not even get a raise.
That's correct. And
Every
that's
year.
always been that way. It's always been that way. There is no guarantee to an additional salary because there's no guarantee of a salary. We could come budget time and say, well, the budget is way over. We are going to lower everybody's wages by 10%. And we would have the ability to do that. So to write a guarantee into this is a non-guarantee, and we can't obligate a future commission to that. That's what budget negotiations are for. But this is not a cradle-to-grave employment agency. And if, just like any company, if you need to lay people off because there's not money to fund those positions or fund other essential positions, that's what happens. So I don't have any problem using the COLA as a guideline, but we can't be tied specifically to it, because what happens down the road when a commission other than us, we tied our hands. The only way to spend money in the future is to let the people vote on it. That's why we have yearly budgets. And if you listen to what I read here, this gives that as guidance. It just says may, it doesn't say shall, because it can't say shall. And if you think that in these upcoming budget negotiations, that giving the employees of Griggs County a 7.5 or 8% raise, when the rest of the taxpayers are not getting that, and now we expect those taxpayers that are already suffering from inflation to work harder to give the employees of Griggs County a raise, you're gonna have some arguments here. No one should profit over this thing, and everybody should be in the same boat. Everybody's hurting over this. And if that means no one gets a raise, that means no one gets a raise, because the citizens aren't getting a raise, and they fundamentally fund all this. This is getting serious, and there have to be some changes made here, because we can't keep forcing the citizens to pay for things they can't afford. It just can't happen. That's not the purpose of government.
But you followed this for all the years past and had no problems with it.
We never followed it. We went along with the increase.
Okay.
Did you follow it last year?
We gave the COLA
Yeah.
plus to
Okay,
bring it
we'll
up.
give the COLA minus. we'll reduce the overall wage and still give the COLA. I mean, that's a silly argument.
I just
Stephanie.
feel you want to, this has been in here for forever and ever, amen.
No, since 2017.
Okay, so 2017, you guys
What?
put this
Tell
in
me
here.
what that tells. Tell me what that tells you to do.
It says
Tell me
they
what that tells you.
will receive
No, read it. Tell me what it tells you to
the
do.
Social Security cost of living increase each year during budget time. That's what it says.
The cost of living increase as calculated when?
Is
At
it-
budget time, we don't give any raises at budget time. What? It doesn't give any specifics.
But-
Jamie's a lawyer. Tell him to take that into court and try to get some money out of somebody because of that. There's no specifics to it.
But every year when you guys during the budget time, when you guys figured out raises and such, did you guys not use COLA in the past?
Since 17,
What did you do before that?
I don't know.
sat around and discussed it, and so that we.
And is that what you want to do again? Is sit around and discuss it? Go back the way it was?
Yes.
The problem with when you have it, will receive this, you can run up against the mill levy in the road department, and you're guaranteeing the increases, and you don't have room in the budget.
So if we
So you
get-
really can't guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have will receive.
Mm-hmm.
May.
You have to
You can
change
still
that
have
to
the
a may.
same argument. As if you want to give the increases, you can still use the same argument. It's just there's never a hammer there to do that.
Right.
That's the only difference. We're not saying that it probably isn't a good tool to determine whether or not there should be increases or decreases, by the way. If the CPI can go down also. But it can't be an absolute, because we don't know the circumstances now or in the future. That's all that, and this gives it more weight than the one that's in there. This at least defines the time period and which CPI you're using.
And which CPI is that one?
It's
That
a
you,
Social Security CPI. There's many different CPIs.
right. And why
The
did you choose Social
one
Security?
is- I don't know why we use, you'd have to go back in the minutes and discuss that. I think because, if I remember correctly, because that was the most adaptable, the most universal for what the citizens of Griggs County would see. We have a lot of people on Social Security, and they would be able to relate to that cost of living increase. I think that's why we used it. I've never seen this in an employee manual. That tells you how much I look at the employee manual. And when I saw that, it's obvious that, first of all, a budget heading shouldn't be in the employee manual. It has nothing to do with the budget. And secondly, the wording on it was horrific. I don't know if Ron wrote that or I wrote it, but whoever wrote it didn't write it correctly according to what we originally talked about doing this. So that's my recommendation, is to put this in there. If that's not the
Read it to me
majority
again,
view,
please.
then
Will you read it again, please? Yeah.
Oh, intercepted it.
Oh, Lord, I ain't calling it any tables. Look at you go, Dale.
so it changes the heading to salary
Straighten up again.
compensation.
Not always a guarantee.
Green chicken.
Or we can just take both of them out of the employee manual. Either, I mean, that's fine too. If you don't want anything in there, but what we have in there is not workable. It's too vague.
Right.
I mean, we can just take it all out and go back to the way it was.
I think it's good to have something
I agree.
for at least future commissions, so they understand what was done
Can I
in
see
the
that
past.
I mean,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, thanks.
I mean, the word that we're arguing
No.
about is may or shall.
Didn't look.
Yeah.
Didn't look for good.
And I don't-
interject. I'm not even, I mean, even at work, I'm not guaranteed to give raises every year either. I mean, we try to give raises every year.
Yeah,
It's just, it's hard to say, we may give the CPI from 2 years ago, which might only be 0.02%, which you guys have received in the past, which you really can get somebody 0.02%, or it could be 0.02% plus, or like to bring it to 2% kind of thing, kind of like what we did before. I just don't want it to be stuck.
and that's why it's,
Where-
you're talking about it needs to be changed to may instead of shall.
Where it's not just that you get to look at for the future, or if you look at it, be like, oh, it's 0.02%. We may not want to give that. We'd rather give it 2%. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, the wording that is in there now justified what you did last year.
Right.
So I don't see the argument.
Yeah,
Because you went against your own argument
Yeah.
and you raised it, so I don't see the problem. I was just trying to make it fit what was done in the past and what could happen in the future.
Yeah.
But no
This is
employment is for certain, and I don't know how we got it into our head that in this instance, employment and continual raises are an eventuality, because they can't be. Things change.
I know when Sean was here, he was, had firsthand knowledge of what the state has done, and there was quite a few years they got zero.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
I mean, Sean was one of the major ones involved in the discussion of putting this into place, because he had firsthand experience with it.
With what the state did for increases, and
Yeah,
a
'cause he
lot of
worked
years
for-
it
yeah,
was
he worked for the state.
nothing, or they'd pick up part of their insurance and
Mhm.
call it fair. And
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, conceivably, if this year's 7.5%, it's on a yearly basis. If we have a recession, and for the next 2 years, it could be in the negative. You could, if you held it to the letter of the wording as you interpreted the wording, there could be decreases in salaries.
Sure. Sure.
So,
I don't
This
think we
just-
legally decrease salary on somebody's pay, can we?
what's that?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
It says that employees will receive the Social Security cost of living increase. It does not say that we will receive the decrease,
Oh, so it's
John.
all a plus.
Did I put that in mine too?
Yeah,
She just lawyered you guys.
Good job.
I'm sorry.
I'm good with that.
You're right, it does.
No, I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure that it's not, again, like,
This
held
isn't-
accountable that this is only that is what you're going to get. Where that was the big argument last year, was like, we said we give this and only this, but then we ended up voting it, giving that plus whatever to bring it up to whatever the percentage was.
that had been our policy.
Right.
yes,
So,
But I didn't break our policy.
yeah.
The majority of the commission broke the policy that was in place, not.
I don't have a problem with that word.
and that's just fine.
I know, that's the way it works, but what
Okay.
I'm trying to do is trying to make it so this fit in the policy from
Sure.
last year also.
Sure.
All right, so
Would you
we
like-
should have a little motion on this deal and be done with it.
Yeah,
I feel humbled after Sam put me in my place, so I'm not making the motion.
I'm sorry.
so where is this gonna go now, instead, because we're gonna eliminate the
In the
budget?
same place.
It's gonna be the
just
same place. The budget or the
Four
heading
point
is just
seven.
gonna be salary
Okay,
hyphen compensation.
Unless we have it, didn't see a salary
No.
/ compensation.
I don't think so.
And if I wrote that originally, I deserve the demerit for that.
and then we talked about hourly, explaining the hourly for vacation time and that sort of thing.
We're gonna just do, approve it all at once then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we do that today with those changes, do you feel?
I mean, I don't think there's a limit on the number of times you can make changes to the employee manual, so. But I know, is it good?
No, it's a bigger document. I mean,
Well, there's a limit to how many times I'll be able to do this, and then no doubt it. I have seen this on the agenda already long enough. I've already seen this on the agenda long enough.
We haven't hashed it every time. though, so
Yeah.
That's a bonus.
We're gonna resolve this one, unlike your time
Yeah,
agenda item that never
happened.
survived.
Yeah,
We had time clock, when Mark got on there, we had time clock on the agenda for about 9 months.
Why
And
don't we have a time
mailboxes.
clock?
Huh?
Why don't we have a time clock?
You're nominated now.
yeah.
Would you like to prepare that agenda?
I agree.
Get a big suggestion box.
Hey, I'm all about accountability, then you can always refer back to when they're here and they're not here. I punch time clock and I'm salaried.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
it's.
rule number one is that elected officials, if they get their work done and work 1 day a year,
month.
a month,
Actually, there's not even that requirement.
They're not accountable to us, they're accountable to the taxpayer.
Taxpayer.
to the
And the
voters.
taxpayers
To
are
the
paying
voters.
these people to
to the
work.
voters,
Yeah.
yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So they can come and go and do as they wish.
I am paid too to get my job done. I'm salaried. So
Yeah.
my hours are not set.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not set, I can come and go as I please. However, you
Yeah,
are kind of obligated to be, that is your department, that is your bill. You probably should be there to run it during most of the time. More
I
than,
agree.
Okay, is somebody gonna cook up a motion for me to,
I'll make a motion that we approve the employee handbook as amended.
and do you have it written down, Sam, so we can read what we're gonna?
Yeah, would you like to hear it?
I don't think you want to have all that into the motion. I think you want to keep it as simple, and we've already amended it.
Just so she has a copy of it.
Sure.
I do.
Okay.
I think as proposed is the wording. It's amended once we approve it.
Okay, as proposed.
Okay, a motion by Mark to amend the employee manual as proposed for the vacation hours and paid holiday hours. And also for the salary and compensation language that we've added.
There was another one earlier too that we changed, but
That was already in a different
that's
motion.
already,
Mhm.
Yep,
yeah.
yep.
I'll second that motion.
Motion seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John,
Aye.
Scott,
I
Mark,
Aye.
Stephanie,
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. Now we're on to county policies, which I missed for some reason when I read the packets.
So these are what the state auditor's office would like you to Adopt for the county.
Do we not have any policies like this right now?
Mm-mm.
We don't, huh?
Mm-mm.
Well, your capitalization's at 5,000, huh?
And the only things that the state auditor's office basically has the audit just about ready to go. They just need this, and they needed a letter from Jamie.
I got that done to come to you this afternoon.
Perfect. And then they should be good to go. There was one thing that was missing. They needed a capital asset listing, and we don't have that. We've never had that. And Harold won't respond back if he has that. So now we're having to go through and try and get that done. So that is going to be one thing that is missing from the audit. But that's about all that I know that they were missing.
That's a monumental task to put that together.
I was gonna say, what, you get this, so how does he figure out your depreciation if you have a capital, your list of all your,
And I submitted our inventory that I had, but
It's
it
of
was
no value to us.
Government entity,
We don't have to say
you
no
don't have,
depreciation.
there's no need to have a
so what about,
capital
what about, if you even have a list of what you guys have?
we have an
capital
inventory list, but
Oh, what are they looking for?
a capital asset listing.
Which has nothing to do with government. It's not usable because we don't depreciate anything, we don't pay tax on anything.
Right,
There's no
true.
need for it. We don't borrow against our capital
I
assets.
think what they're looking for is probably for what the state auditor has been doing to other entities and I'm looking for probably potential misappropriation with missing
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 property. I would guess that's probably what it's for. I don't think
Oh,
it's for anything but that. Would be my guess because John's right. We don't
Yep.
pay taxes, so we won't have a depreciation.
No, I
schedule.
mean,
Yeah, you don't need to know you bought this truck for 50,000 and you depreciated it off.
But
and
I
now
would
it's
bet
worth
that is
20.
the reason for the
Right.
capital items list is to make sure that we keep and dispose of the capital items as
I
we're
see.
supposed to by law.
I see.
right.
I mean, from Steph's standpoint, she understands it because that's the whole.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what we all do.
Appreciate everybody, but in this instance, yeah, you're right. It's more.
It's for
more
misappropriation and to
Okay.
make sure that we dispose of things. That would be my guess. Because the state auditor he's raised some hell with some different places again lately.
I see.
So I would guess that's what
I
it
see.
is to
Do we have to count
Yeah,
the
it's-
bridges and
It's the value of
when
5,000,
that
so
goes to
it's a nice high value then.
salvage? How in depth do they want this thing to be?
Probably
Well,
per-
first of all, is it mandatory?
Sure.
If it's not mandatory.
Well, we've got our inventories though. I mean,
And I sent them
she
that.
can provide
I
the invent. I don't.
Okay, well, that's really
Ju-
what.
Just not the value of the inventories.
I have that too. I have the value of
So I don't know what else
all
they
of
would
them.
need, but she
When they
has
were
we all
purchased.
Huh?
the
When they
inventory
were
sheets every
purchased.
year for.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, of chairs and stuff like that, not of bridges or anything like that. So I mean, I don't have.
I think
But-
I think they're looking for things that are a value of $5,000 or more that would depreciate out buildings, vehicles, big equipment.
I mean, I have all of our vehicles
suppose
on there, and
Even though we don't file taxes, I guess we probably would have a depreciation schedule for everything when it's end of life and get rid of it.
Mm-hmm. It would be like, well, 5,000 is of high value, so it really shouldn't be a
No, I
very
mean,
big list.
I think the point of it is we've gotta find out if it's mandatory.
well,
I
basically,
think
what
we
she
wanna
said
get-
is that it's just going to be a check mark off of our
Yeah.
audit, and she said it's not going to be a big deal because the citizens are not going to be like, oh, they don't have a capital asset
Okay.
listing, but they're going to say, that was a strike on
I think
Griggs
what you sent them
County.
was enough then.
Yeah.
So.
Our audit gets a small office, worry every year. We still get that mark every year saying.
My guess it's for purchases and misappropriation and for disposal practices of things that we have.
Well, it just tells you exactly what they're gonna do on it. I mean, the assets to have a useful life of more than one fiscal year, considered a capital asset, and then what you're gonna do with it. It tells you in here how you're going to figure it out and what you're gonna do with it.
I think it's just another item of nothing.
Yeah,
I get that all the time.
me too. Okay.
Do you want to sign these? Any of these?
Well, the
Fraud
fund balance
prevention.
policy, you don't have any policies at all for the business or for your office at all?
No,
You
just the
don't-
employee manual is all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, having a fund, this just tells you what you're going to do with it.
And then the credit card policy and procedures.
Safeguard yourself.
Do you feel these policies are necessary for you to do your job?
I've been doing my job the way and I
We have a business office policy book. Do we look at it every year? No, but it's just something to say, hey, it's something to go back on, just to say this is how we run our
Yeah.
office. You know,
Yeah.
Sam's been doing how she does it every year, but it's a check and balance thing that we say this is how we're going to run it, and it's for fraud too, so the person isn't doing it by that. It's
Okay.
you know, but
So this isn't anything we're gonna approve at this meeting anyway?
no.
This is something we'll take a
Well, I
couple
think-
meetings looking at.
I think the sooner the better. The state auditors are waiting on it,
Yeah,
but I think it's something for you guys to look at.
yeah.
I don't see it changing the way our practices are, and maybe Sam can change that.
No.
I mean,
I don't think it does. I think what they're looking for, it seems like what the state auditor's office is looking at a lot of places, and I'm not saying it's happening here, but I'm just saying it seems like they've done a lot of, they went back and redid a lot of Rotunda's audits, so I suppose they're looking at the shortfalls of his audits is really what it is, and the procedures of the counties, and I'm guessing that there's been stuff that's probably showing up in other places that the policies weren't followed, or there were no policies to follow, and that's caused problems.
And this is good guidelines here. What is the general fund? What is the special revenue fund? What is the debt service fund? These are things you should probably have anyways, just as an explanation what is in your office. Fraud prevention, I'm good with these, adding these.
I mean, the policies against fraud in the county have been in place for 130 years. Checks and balances were there when
Yeah.
when we dealt strictly with cash, when there had to be some checks and balances. Those are still in place, and everything, any money spent, any money that comes in now leaves a trail. There's really no way to be fraudulent.
You'd be amazed.
Well, yeah, somebody could walk off with some cleaning supplies or something like that, but that is, anything that we sell via bids. Any monies that are expended are at the approval of the five of us. Any contracts entered into are the same. I mean, maybe this would be something that, I don't see how it would benefit. I don't think we have a fraudulent problem, and it's just gonna add more work to a system already, so more work equals.
This isn't more work, this is just having a book saying that we have some policies in place.
What is it? There's a book. How did the book get here?
You know,
That required time and effort, which equates to $2.
these are the policies that are already here. It would just be, yes, she has these policies, she'll accept these policies.
Well, if we just file this and say yes, but if we say yes, do we have all that stuff we said yes to?
Well, we don't, because we don't have the capital assets.
You don't have the capital assets, but you can, how hard is it to start one? Is it that, or maybe don't do the capital asset one and do the rest of them?
Well,
It's,
So
having a description of these funds, that doesn't hurt anything. It's not more work for Sam to have this description. They want us to have a description, give a description. You know, it's having a credit card policy, internal accounting controls.
I think we take these under advisement, table them until next meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to go through them. I completely missed them when I looked at my packet, so.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that too.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table the county policies.
Motion by Mark to table the county policy until next meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by John. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any further discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have another tax abatement, or is this just
Do you want
some-
to talk about the tax director now?
Oh, I forgot I
Yeah,
put
we
that
can do
there.
that.
Okay, tax director.
The other thing I have with tax director is I feel we need to start pushing again to hire a tax director and get the position filled. It's right now it's only on our county and the what is that website? The other website.
National Association of Counties.
Yep, it's on those two websites. I think we've got a Facebook page, and you can put it on Facebook and as advertising for a position open, and then you can boost it so it goes and pick your, and it's like maybe like, sometimes it depends on how far you want to boost it. It's like $25 to $40, you know, and it'll run for however many days you want it to run. And it's a nice little tracking, and people can apply from there, the initial to get the incentive. We do that with our staff at the nursing home. It's just another way to do it rather than put it in the paper, local paper or anything like that. We do get a lot of Facebook applicants.
Yeah, it sounds like a good method to get it out.
Yeah. And it shows in there, you know, when you do fill it out, you can put in how much they will make an hour, how many hours a week. You know, as more detail, kind of the better
Okay,
on that.
okay.
And I think we
The biggest
should.
thing is experience, but, you know my opinion on it, I don't see where it's a benefit to Griggs County, but that's only my position.
One thing that I have been thinking of is Connie has been doing a lot of the work, and with her retiring, you know, that might be, you know, having a lot of those duties going undone.
Yeah.
Those kind of things, even the bare minimum of tax abatements and stuff like that, or putting any of those things in Dakota programs. I don't know how to do that, and I know I don't know what training Connie's done with any of that, so.
And we were at, we went to one of the meetings and visited with the townships about having no assessors and such. And I did get access to a website where there are assessors that we can, you know, hand down to the townships.
How many townships are without assessors, you know?
There's quite a few.
I don't know.
Never gonna tell you.
I don't remember either. I just have it written down too.
There's a few. They mentioned at that meeting, I can't remember how many, but there was some. Didn't have anybody.
Right, and Farrah can't do them all. I told her she should do them all. I mean, she's right there. But, you know, and getting these to the townships, but what the townships don't know is that when changes are happening, you know, where the tax director knows when changes are happening or sales are happening, to go out and do the assessments. You know, that's how they figure out. We don't have a director to do that right now. Or, you know, people like Farrah, she just does it on her own. It looks on her own to see it. You know, so I do have a list to help the townships out to get their assessments done.
Yeah, if you can give that to Sam, and then if any townships need it, they'll get a hold of them.
Yeah. So that's what I've got.
You mentioned that you'd done the
Maybe.
sales. Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe you've done it.
Me possibly.
Okay.
Okay, well, if you have Maybe done it, thank you.
It's not quite completed, but
And then we'll have to look at that prior to upload.
we upload, then get the information that you guys want, yeah.
Because since it's the county commission's report, we have to kind of approve it before it's
Before it
submitted,
goes in,
before it goes into the state.
Yep.
But it's I file it, but I don't submit it. It's so I get that.
That little report you guys like to look
Yeah.
at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Is there any chance we could compensate Sam for her work in that?
Steph.
Stephanie,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yep. Absolutely, there's money
Okay.
budgeted for tax
Okay.
director duties, so that's,
I'm gonna take for that whole $26,477 was gonna cost me to do this, because that's what the budget's for it.
No, you misunderstood. It's the cents at the end.
Oh,
That's where it
or
goes.
can I tap into the other expenses?
you can submit for that.
But
No, keep track of your time, so,
yeah, I mean, we paid Connie for it, we paid other people for doing it, and
Yeah.
there's, certainly don't expect something done for nothing.
and hopefully next year we will have a tax director to do this, so that you won't have to do that anymore.
Well, that's one person's hope.
I don't even, you're so anti on this. It makes life pure, doesn't make life good. It makes it tough.
That's like saying hiring a hangman would make life better.
do we have anything else for tax director?
Just, that was all I had to
Okay,
go
and
for
if you could
hiring.
get that on Facebook, and
You got it.
I think that'd be a good way to maybe tap the potential
Yep.
applicant.
If I have any questions on the boosting, I'll message you on that.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That was a 3/5 position, wasn't it?
Correct.
And then I talked to Tasha Kruger recently, and she used to be the tax director in Steele County, and she still assesses, so maybe she might be interested in
Mm-hmm.
assessing a couple more townships.
She does our townships, Thorndale Township and a couple of
She does quite a few around
quite a few
here.
Does she?
actually.
Yeah. I just talked to her.
And actually, the first responsibility for the assessors is with the township.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's-
You know, and the townships, you know, they don't, it's hard for them to know. I mean, talking to a couple of the townships, they're like, well, we don't know who. I mean, we kind of know what's going on, but we don't know exactly what's all going on and who to say and what. Where it's easier for the, you know, tax director to say, hey, we had this sale come through, we need to reassess it because it wasn't, you know, hey, you had a change, you built something on your farm or on your house. I mean, I should say, but.
Tax abatement. Didn't we act on this?
That was a different year. This
Ah.
is now for 2020.
2020.
All the correct documents in place.
Yeah. As far as I know, yes. And then the city of Hannaford approved it, so.
So I get a motion to approve the abatement and taxes on the property 224006055452.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Steph to approve the presented abatement. Is there a second?
I'll second it, yeah.
Seconded by Scott. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. John?
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Steph?
Aye.
Dale votes aye. Motion carries. Where do I sign this at, Sam?
Yeah, right there. Yep.
Old courthouse, new courthouse.
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
Future business.
I was approached by a citizen yesterday to talk with you guys about coming up with a resolution opposed to the 30 by 30 plan that Mr. Biden has. So I want to do some research on it, but I think it should be on the agenda next week, and I would ask that you guys also do some research on it. Or
30 by 30.
read up on it.
Fill me in.
It's,
It's kind of a land grab. The plan is, it came out in actually 2020. I think it was one of Biden's future plans, and it was by 2030, 30% of the land in the United States should be in conservation practices. I think it's natural grasses, that sort of thing. So the citizen asked that we take a look at it and we asked for a resolution opposed to it based on our interest as an agricultural county. So I've asked that you guys take a look at it, and I'll do some more research. I don't think it probably doesn't have any big effects on what would happen, but it would be a stance against something like that would likely injure our community.
it's,
So Biden wants to put land into, like, not
so
be able to farm it?
it was part of the new Green Deal,
Yeah.
and, so you're familiar with carbon offsets? So for every pound of pollution a factory produces, they have to offset that way somehow. Well, one of the offsets is turning cropland to grassland, and then they would pay the producer to idle his land, or in this situation, the factory would pay the government would pay the producer to idle the land to offset the carbon footprint of industry.
And Stalin doing something like this in Russia, but without the compensation.
Yeah.
Starve the peasants.
So yeah, and that's a big concern that I would have with it. Was idling 30% of the land would put us in probably a position where there wouldn't be enough food. It's in just a short little research I did last night and read a couple articles. It's like 2 times the size of Texas that would be idle with this thing.
The trick in the whole thing is you don't want that 30% or the 30, you can't do anything with it. You know.
It sounds like CRP.
I was gonna say.
It's like, but you don't, how does it look? You can't do anything. You sign it over, but it's like in perpetual agreement with them.
It's CRP on steroids without much
but
compensation.
you basically lose control over it. It's still your land, but you can't
Right.
do anything with it.
Well,
right?
that's not written, no, nowhere is that written. This is all real vague, but
Yeah.
30% isn't an arbitrary figure. North Dakota, or Griggs County, during the height of the CRP, guess how what percentage
A
we
lot.
had in CRP? 25%
it
was the limit.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
So it's already been there.
Yeah.
The fear is that the government is going to be more forceful about this
Yeah.
than they were in the past. And you could say they were forceful because you were held to a $40 per acre payment,
Contract.
and 10 years later, 40 didn't cover it. So I think that if you want to have a resolution opposing this, it's not going to stop it from happening, but at least it makes a statement. But see, we already had it, CRP. is basically what this is.
It is, but at that point, everybody had the opportunity to do it or not do it. I mean,
That's right.
Yeah.
This isn't at that. It might not be at that point.
Well, it appears like they're going to do like they always do with the government. In order to get you to comply, they just keep offering more and more and more, and then causing more and more regulations. Just to get the CRP, and they had all the erosion standards and all
Right.
that, so that you couldn't farm it. So you had to do something with it. But the CRP didn't turn out to be a good deal either.
No.
Nor did the soil bank. 30 years earlier than that.
Boy, CRP hurt the Binford community
It
sometimes.
hurt all communities, yeah.
Might be really good for aerial fire suppression.
You gotta remember the government's in charge of that too.
Yeah.
If it can be screwed up, they will do it. But yeah, I'm in favor of that, and it would help if that person could come to the meeting and just have a presence.
Yeah.
Cause I'm in favor of it, I think everybody's in favor of it.
Let's have
As long
make
as
sure
I
that
don't
we
get in
get
favor, come
proposal
on in.
in our next packet.
Yeah.
In
Well,
2
I don't
weeks.
know, we can't, if we say we're opposed to it, what's the matter? The government's gonna say, oh boy, Griggs County's opposed to that, we better not do it.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if grassroots efforts help
I
a
know,
lot of the time. So if you get Griggs County, I know the next county that's going to be opposed to it.
no, every county can be opposed to it, I'm in agreement.
But I mean, so it'll go from here, and it's already been brought up to Nelson County Commissioners. So it'll go to Nelson County, and I don't know.
Yeah, I guess Tiananmen Square started with one person standing in front of the tank,
Yeah.
so.
So future business will be, the zone will be on next meeting, right, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
The zone will be, right?
Yep, I'll get the zone. I sent that out again to you guys so you guys can review that ahead of time. So I have the social services zone, I have the county policies, and then the 30 by 30.
And Steph wanted the time clock on there.
Do you want the time clock
Just
on there?
kidding.
I need more information on that. I don't want to make him a rebuttal on that. No, I don't know time clock on there.
Okay.
Next meeting I will have to be Zoom because I'll be in Bismarck for a convention.
Okay. Travis will be coming in this week, hopefully tomorrow, but before the next meeting to get the audio because we still can't get that figured out. So
I'll make a
that'll be.
prediction. If we get time clocks, we'd never have to put ink in them.
I'd really like to have the discussion again, I like talking about it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Scott to adjourn, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Stephanie. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Barring none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at 4:38. Next meeting is on May 5th at 2:30 in this room.